for this at all. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning. Nothing could be sweeter than my sweetie when I meet her in the morning. Come on, everybody. Where the morning glories climb around the door, whispering pretty stories I long to hear once more. Scolding with the girlie where the dew was pearly early in the morning. I like the lads down there behind the green bottle. We'll flutter up and kiss each other by the carpet at dawning. If I had a leg for only a day, I'd make a wish, and here's what I'd say. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning. And side by side, we're sorting out two ladies or gentlemen in the audience who are singing with great gusto. Even great gusto may get a ticket. But the ladies who are singing, or the gentlemen who are singing the best, we're going to give a ticket to Oliver. So let's try it. Cuddle up nice and close and side by side. Oh, we ain't got the barrel of money, maybe ragged and funny, but we're traveling along, singing a song, side by side. Don't know what's coming, don't know what's coming tomorrow, maybe trouble and sorrow, but we're traveling along, sharing a song, side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When I won't have the troubles and bothers, will be the same as we started, just traveling along, singing a song, side by side. Well done. Give yourselves a nice big warm applause. Now it's the lady not behind the green door, because all sorts of things go on behind the green door. The lady behind the green bottle, and the lady in the same position in the back table, stretching her neck out and looking now at all the marvelous sights. Yes, the lady nodding her head. Would you like to put your hand up? Yes, you have won a ticket to Oliver, and the lady behind the green bottle has won a ticket to Oliver. We'll be giving you those during the interval. Right? So don't go away. Cast, places please. Final sound check. Announcer's mic. Studio A and B mics. Orchestra. Musical director Terry, quite happy. Control. All fair handy. Tape rolling. Recording now. Stand by. Quiet please. 3, 2, 1. Cue. Hello. Hello.
It's a good show.
Radio STJOS, the commercial division of the New Zealand Broadcasting Service. Paul Gregory introducing Radio Times, recorded live before a studio audience. We open with music from the big band era of the 1940s, recalling in nostalgia the music of the celebrated Glenn Miller Orchestra, and Glenn Miller's own personalized theme, spotlighting the rich voice of Rosalie Allen, was certainly Moonlight Serenade.
I stand at your gate, and I sing you a song in the moonlight. I stand and I wait for a touch of your hand in the June light. The roses are sighing a moonlight serenade. And tonight how their light sets me dreaming. My love, do you know that your eyes are like stars brightly shining? I bring you and sing you a moonlight serenade. Let us stray to break of day in love's valley of dreams. Just you and I, the summer's gone, the heavenly breeze kisses the trees. So rose, let me wait, come to me tenderly in the June light. I stand at your gate, and I sing you a song in the moonlight, a love song, my darling, a moonlight serenade. Let us stray to break of day in love's valley of dreams. Just you and I, the summer's gone, the heavenly breeze kisses the trees. So rose, let me wait, come to me tenderly in the June light. I stand at your gate, and I sing you a song in the moonlight, a love song, my darling, a moonlight serenade.
Rosalie Allen and Moonlight Serenade. Radio station STJOS, the time is 8 o'clock. We now bring you an outside broadcast eagerly awaited throughout the entire world. The historic moment has now arrived. The broadcasting link has been established, and we cross live now to Nepal, to our radio roving reporter.
This is your roving reporter speaking to you from the top of Mount Everest, waiting here to interview the first man to climb this vast mountain, Ed Hillary. Ed has almost reached the top now. I think that's a garter he's wearing. And he's almost to the top. Yes. Now, can I give you a hand up there, Ed?
Yes, thank you very much. God, I made it. I'm the first man to conquer the vast Everest.
Oh, and congratulations, Ed. And how was the climb?
Oh, it was wretched. Weeks of deprivation, of freezing winds, of inhuman sacrifice. Hey, hang on. Who the hell are you?
Oh, I'm a roving reporter. I wanted to be the first here to interview you.
But how did you get here?
Oh, I drove up.
Drove up? Drove up?
Yes, it was a lovely trip. Took about an hour.
Wait, listen, see here. You were here before me. That makes you the first man to conquer Everest.
Gee, I never thought of that. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Well, I may as well be a good sport about this. Come stand on the brink with me and survey the majestic view.
Well, all right. Gee, it's beautiful.
Yes, yes it is, but stand a little closer. You can't see it all.
Hey, just wait a moment. I'm slipping.
Oh, you're not slipping. You're being pushed.
Studio A, broadcasting singers, places please. Studio B, stand by. Quiet please. Cue Helen, 15 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, the haunting voice of Helen Powell, introducing the magical music of Hoagie Carmichael with Skylark. This is followed by the broadcasting singers with a finely scored fantasia of well-loved Hoagie Carmichael melodies. But first, Helen Powell.
Have you anything to say to me? Won't you tell me where my love can be? Is there a meadow in the mist where someone's waiting
which would become one of the best loved of all time, Stardust, and its creator, one of America's top composers. A choral portrait with Hoagie Carmichael. station is DJOC of the NZBS. The time is 8:17. By permission of the BBC, we take a look now into another day in the life of the Glums.
Don't ask me, he's your father.
Ron, you're forcing me to say this. My dad thinks that you should go out and get employment, and I agree with him.
Oh,
Oh, Ron, don't look so hurt. I know you've always said you didn't want to rush into the first position that was offered to you because it's better to survey the field first. But Ron, you've been surveying it for 7 years. Why can't you go out tomorrow and definitely get a job?
'cause I got a job this morning.
Oh, Ron, it's easy enough to make excuses, but you'll have to consider that you'll have a home to maintain and a wife to support, to say nothing of all the other... You did what?
I got a job this morning.
Oh,
I saw this notice, you see. If, I'm telling you how I got my job. Well, would you believe it, she's gone to sleep. I thought that would interest her. Oh, I don't know. I'll just have to play with my elastic band.
Hello. I just thought, here, what's happened to Ed?
Shh. She's having a ziz.
That's no ziz, my boy. Your mother went like that the night I arrived home before closing time. This girl has fainted from shock.
Oh,
All right, Ron, what you been up to?
me, Dad?
Are you standing there trying to look innocent? I always knew that one day I'd come through that door just too late. Now then, give me a hand to bring you around.
What do I do, Dad?
Well, force your head between her knees.
Oh, righto, Dad.
Not backwards! Oh, do be a help. Just loosen a bit of clothing.
Oh, Dad, oh.
Don't stand there blushing. This is medical reasons. There's no shame where illness is concerned.
Well, if you're sure it's all right. There, is that enough?
Ron,
Yes, Dad?
do up your cardigan again. Don't you see it's hair clothing that needs to be loosened?
oh, Mr. Glove, it's happened.
You don't have to tell me. I took the situation in at a glance.
It's Ron, Mr. Glove, it's Ron. He's got a job. He actually went out and got a job. He did. Mr. Glove, are you all right?
Oh!
Don't get caught in the cold this autumn or winter. Bruce Woolens for men and boys offer pure wool, full-length underpants and singlets in worsted or lamb's wool. They're snug, they're comfortably shaped, warm and long-wearing. For year-round warmth and comfort, Bruce Woolens for men and boys growing into men. Hugh, Heather and Phil, stand by please, Studio B, 10 seconds. Delineating now the bumpy road to love with its highs and lows, Heather McIntyre and Phil Oates philosophize in song the pros and cons of making whoopee.
Another bride, another groom, another sunny honeymoon, another season, another reason for making whoopee.
Another shoe, another bride.
making whoopee. He doesn't make much money,
Only 5,000 pounds.
some judge who thinks he's funny says you'll pay 6 to her. He says, now judge, what if I fail? The judge says, budge, right into jail. You better keep her.
I think it's cheaper than
Making whoopee.
So don't forget, folks, that what you get, folks, from making whoopee.
Kevin McIntyre and Phillips. Studio A, Kevin please, 3 minutes. Q John and Trio, stand by. Studio C, 15 seconds. In the 40s, a black trio recording on Decca label hit the airways with their new release. In musicianship, they had no equal. The John Burrell Trio and the sweetly swinging harmonies of the Mills Brothers and Paper Doll.
I'm gonna buy a paper doll that I can call my own, a doll that other fellas cannot steal. And then the flirty, flirty guys with their flirty, flirty eyes will have to flirt with dollies that are real. When I come home at night, she will be waiting. She'll be the truest doll in all the world. I'd rather have a paper doll to call my own than have a fickle-minded real-life girl. I wish I had $1 million or more. I guess I'd love them dollies more and more. I've just quarreled with Sue, and that's why I'm blue. She's gone away and left me just like all dolls do. Hey boy, I'm glad to be alone. And it's hard to love a doll that's not your own. I'm through with all of them. I'll never fall again. Say, boy, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy a paper doll that I can call my own, a doll that other fellows cannot steal. And then those flirty, flirty guys with their flirty, flirty eyes will have to flirt with dollies that are real. When I come home at night, she will be waiting. She'll be the truest doll in all the world. I'd rather have a paper doll to call my own than have a fickle-minded real-life girl.
John Burrell Trio, Paper Doll. Perhaps no other stage artists captured the imagination of the world, the film world particularly, than the singing comedians Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Their road series recordings selling in the millions. From Decca Records, Kevin joins me on the road to Morocco.
We're off on the road to Morocco. This camel is topped on the spine. Hit me with a band-aid, Dad. Where we're going, why we're going, how can we be sure? I'll lay you 8 to 5 that we'll meet Dara Hill. Yeah, get a line. Off on the road to Morocco. Hang on till the end of the line. Like your jacket. Why? I hear this country's where they do the dance of the 7 bells. We'd tell you more, but we would get the censor on our tails. We certainly do get around like Webster's dictionary.
set of Shakespeare that you get in the corner bookstore for $10.98 when Maria go round. Or like a volume of Omar Khayyam that you get in the department store at Christmas time for your cousin Julia when Maria go round. Kevin Knowles. Enjoy new life this winter, build up on the course of Lane's Emotion. Lane's essential ingredients: pure cod liver oil, beechwood creosote, hypophosphites of lime and soda, and fresh eggs have a unique reputation as a body builder. Now, this formula is exclusive to the Lane Medicine Company Limited of Oamaru. Lane's Emotion, it's famous because it's good. Cue the Cole Porter Singers, Studio A, please, 12 seconds. Stand by, quiet, please. Certainly the elite of American composers was the witty, sophisticated Cole Porter. From the Cole Porter album, our studio singers in a multi-scored harmony arrangement of his best-loved Begin the Begin. 20 seconds. Next Saturday evening at the Civic Theatre, Lifebuoy Soap, the soap of considerate people, presents Selwyn Toogood's It's in the Bag. Great prizes including a brand new 1956 Austin A35, valued at $276. Tickets are 5 shillings, reserves are 6pence extra, so don't miss this grand night's entertainment with Selwyn Toogood, It's in the Bag. Radio station STJOS, from our radio newsroom, we bring you highlights and comments from today's news.
And the British Ministry of Sport and Culture will be promoting major events next year in provincial centres whose names suggest the name of the activity concerned. The All-English Tatting Festival will be held at Nottingham. The Rodeo Championships will take place at Buckingham. The National Sandcastle Building Finals will be at Sandringham, and the Home Counties Swearing Championships will be staged at Effingham.
In the Magistrates' Court this morning, Mr. and Mrs. Hammond were disrupting the custody or disputing the custody of their 6-year-old son, Bertie. Judge Fossil called Bertie aside, inquiring whether he preferred living with his mother. "Oh no," said Bertie, "she beats me." "Well then," said the judge, "would you like to live with your father?" "Oh no, he beats me too." "That's very sad," said the judge. "Is there anyone you would like to live with?" "Oh yes," said Bertie, "the New Zealand cricket team. They don't beat anybody."
And a noted biblical scholar, Professor Geering, has established that the world's first cost accountant could be found in the book of Genesis. His name was Adam. He turned over a loose leaf and then made an entry.
A recent survey was conducted on New Zealanders and their hygiene habits. 1,000 New Zealanders were interviewed and asked, when having a bath, do you sit facing the taps or facing away? 999 stated they sat facing the taps, except one man who stated he sat facing away from the taps. The psychologist conducting the survey remarked, "You're just 1 in 1,000. Why do you sit in the bath at the other end, facing away from the taps?" "I haven't got a plug."
You can put the ring around there. And a Standard 3 teacher at the Papanui Primary School was introducing her class to some new words this week. One of the words was frugal, and the teacher explained that the word was to do with saving. The children were then asked to incorporate the word in a story. Young Johnny wrote, "A distressed, captured princess was tied to a tree in a forest by her captors. A handsome prince came riding by, and the princess cried out, 'Frugal me, frugal me.' So he frugaled her and took her home to his mother."
And finally, from the newsroom, 2 old maids, Aunt Alice and Aunt Violet, lived alone with their female cat in an old house in Fernside. The 2 old dears had nothing to do with males and even locked up the cat so it couldn't stray. One day the inevitable happened. Aunt Alice fell in love and was whisked away on her honeymoon. The next day, Aunt Violet received a telegram of only 4 words. "Let the cat out."
That concludes the early evening news. We return you now to the main studio.
Radio station STJOS, it's time now for our daily session with Aunt Daisy.
to our Christchurch listeners. It's a beautiful day here in Wellington, but the mornings are getting chilly. But you know, just before I left the studio this morning, the sun was shining right up my back passage. Oh, I thank the Lord. The sun makes you feel so warm inside, doesn't it? And life is so worth living. Now, a listener wrote to me about my Brown and Paulson's blancmange I gave you last week. It's 2.5 ounces to not 1, but 2 pints of milk. 2.5 ounces to 2 pints of milk. Now, do double the amount I gave you, and roll the leftovers into balls, and place them in the refrigerator for 7 days. They're excellent for the boys to play cricket with, and they won't break your windows either. Which brings me to my scrapbook. The windows to your soul are the kind deeds and actions you do each day for someone in need. It's true, isn't it? We need to be pliable, just like the Brown and Paulsons I spoke about earlier on. Now, with winter coming on, Vicks Vapor. Just a little rubbed on the chest each night does wonders. Marvellous Vicks Vapor. Like a Boy Scout, be prepared. Stock up now. Mothers with children, even adults, you can rub it on your own chest. You can rub it on each other's. I wouldn't recommend it for courting couples, not just yet. Wait till you're married. Enjoy that warmth of Vicks Vapor Rub. Look forward to it, the soothing sensations of Vicks Vapor Rub. Ladies, if you want something stylish for your man, poinsettia shirts. Litchfield have just released a poinsettia shirt blouse for ladies. Now you can wear these on your special occasion. You know where you're going with poinsettia. They set them firm and point them in the right direction. I saw Selwyn Toogood wearing one the other day. He looked so stylish. By Hobie, he's got his fashion right in the bag. And if you want a bag, Rex is readily available, accommodating and stretchy. Rex the bag for every occasion. Oh, I've been asked to talk about Shredder. My daughter Barbara gives her man a duff every morning. It's the syrup pudding, untouched by hand, or foot for that matter, which reminds me of Dr. Scholl's foot comfort service. Ladies, we've all limped down the street in those high-heeled shoes, and oh, the agony. But Dr. Scholl's will fix it. Just hop into a warm bath with Dr. Scholl's, and oh, the relief. Now it's time to put the kettle on for a lovely, nice hot cup of Bushell's tea. Bushell's, the tea that gives you added energy to face the day. Oh, it's time to go now. It's time for the Art Union results. So good luck and cheery bye, everybody. Till tomorrow.
And Aunt Daisy will be back with us again tomorrow at the same time. Cue Gospel Singers Studio A, stand by please, 20 seconds. From the heat and dust of the slave fields of the South, the compelling, pulsating rock rhythms of black gospel. We present now a studio recital by the Southern Gospel Singers. With spiritual fervour, they sing Just a Closer Walk with Thee, Hush, Somebody's Calling My Name, and Swing Down Chariot.
I am weak, but thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk. Let me walk close to thee.
low, swing low, swing low, my chariot gonna swing low, swing low, swing low, my chariot gonna swing low, swing low, swing low.
Concludes the recital by the Southern Gospel Singers. You've been listening to Radio Times, the first in a series of 2 programs recorded live in the studios of Radio STJOS of the New Zealand Broadcasting Service. Musical directions been by Terry McGowan and production Penny Gittins. Thank you, Studio A. Thank you, singers. There'll be a 15-minute break and then we'll be recording the second program in the series. Thank you, studio audience. For a ticket for Oliver. Heart of my heart, like the melody. Heart of my heart, brings back those memories. When we were kids on the border of the street, we were rough and ready guys. just tell your specialist about that one. Now, what do we have? Bye-bye Blackbird. I've got about 3 or 4 people sorted out. Yeah, fellow down here in red. In Banker's Red, he's doing very well. We've also got another lady in Banker's Red too, also singing extremely well. Another lady behind her, hiding behind her Schweppes lemonade. She is also singing most vociferously right. Let's try side by side. Get up. Come up a little closer. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Beverly. On the singing ability that we could hear up here and the volume over the 2 numbers. And believe me, they're both in red. Gentlemen down here in red, yes, come forward. And the lady down here in red, the blonde, come forward. We have a ticket to Oliver. But you can change it to the music man if you like. Well done. Stand by Studio A, please. Cue Western Chorale, 20 seconds. Tape rolling. Tape rolling. Recording now. Quiet, please. You're tuned to radio station STJOS of the New Zealand Broadcasting Service. Paul Gregory introducing the 2nd program of Radio Times, recorded live before a studio audience. Go west, young man. Our chorale is assembled on stage with stunning arrangements of a popular Western theme. Themes depicting the endless rolling plains under the broad canopy of stars at night. The Western Chorale, with soloists John Burrell and Pat Gregory, Ghost Riders in the Sky, Home on the Range, and Call the Wind, Mariah.
The cowboy changed your ways today with his shoes
sun was always shining. And then one day I left my girl and left her far behind me. And now I'm lost, so far I'm lost, but in that dark and find me. Mariah, Mariah, they call the wind Mariah.
Stand by Studio C, cue ready, 20 seconds. Frank Sinatra's career, launched as a teenager and an idol of the bobby soxer, extended right through his mature years. His improvising style never aged. Betty joins me with Sinatra's own signature tune, The Lady is a Tramp.
Too hungry for dinner at 8. She doesn't bother with people she hates. That's why the lady is a tramp. She don't play crap games with barons or earls. She won't dish the dirt with the rest of the girls. That's why the lady is a tramp.
She liked that green,
Fresh green in her hair. Oh yes, that's all. Hates California, it's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is a tramp. She won't play crack games with shoppies or frauds. Won't dish the dirt with those flat-chested broads. That's why the lady is a tramp.
She liked that green,
In her hair. Oh yes, that's so. Hates California, it's cold, cold and it's damp. That's why the lady. That's why the lady is a tramp.
Preserve You Embalming Fluid presents Frontier Mortician. The scene opens in the residence of Sam Alamode, a wealthy rancher and owner of the barbecue ranch in Spare Rib, Texas. Sam is dying and is talking to his pretty daughter, Poppy.
Poppy, honey, I'm dying again. Go and get rigor mortis at the Frontier Mortician.
What's wrong with you, Daddy? What's your ailment?
I swallowed a thermometer, and I'm dying by degrees.
Oh, go trigger right there.
Unknown to Sam Alamode, his head foreman, Joe Silver, is hiding outside listening. Joe doesn't hear Sam speak.
Let the old boy die. Wish he would. Then I could get the ranch and be set for life. And he's always got some disease. Last week he swallowed a hydrogen bomb and had a stomach ache. He's always suffering from flower disease. He's a blooming idiot. Oh, here comes Poppy Alamode. Stupid boyfriend of Arnie. I'll sneak away.
I haven't seen my girlfriend Poppy in 2 weeks. Oh, she has lovely eyes. One is brown and the other one is blue. Last time I kissed her, she rolled her eyes at me. And I picked them up and rolled them right back again. When she kissed me, it sent chills right down my spine. I'll knock on the door.
Who is it?
It's me, honey. And I call you honey because you've got hives.
Oh, it's my Cookie. And I call you Cookie because you're so crummy.
We interrupt this tender love scene to bring you a message from Peter Pan Makeup. Use Peter Pan Makeup before your pan peters out. This is the makeup used by the stars, Lassie, Mr. Ed, and the Untouchables. Now back to Frontier Mortician. Trigger Mortis is answering the phone.
Hello, it's you, Miss Alamode. Yes, you want me to come out and see your father. Yeah, well, my hearse has been giving me a little bit of trouble lately. Yes, it's been doing a lot of coughing. I think it blew a gasket. Yeah, well, I'll have to stop putting embalming fluid into the tank. The motor keeps dying. Yes, I'll be there very soon. I'm usually dead on time. Yes, well, I'll hurry right out. I must be shoveling off.
Poppy Alamode hangs up and goes to meet her lover, little orphan Arnie, in their favorite meeting place, the family graveyard.
It's so romantic here in the graveyard. There is the grave of my Uncle Ernest. Oh, look! Some worms are making love and dead Ernest.
Darling, may I have your hand in marriage?
My hand? Oh, yes. In fact, you can have my whole arm, too.
And I'll put this ring on your finger.
Arnie, your face is turning red.
Yes, and your finger is turning green. After all, we've been going together steady for 12 years.
Almost long enough for a pension. Let's go tell Daddy. Come on.
Joe Silver's planning to kidnap Poppy and hold her for ransom. He thinks Sam is dying, but he isn't really. Trigger Mortis reaches the ranch.
Well, here I am. When you're at death's door, I'll pull you through.
Good to see you, Cookie. Can you give me a good funeral?
I'll give you a good funeral or your money back. Could I interest you in our lay-by plan?
I'm a sick man. The doctor told me to drink some medicine after a hot bath. I can hardly finish it now.
You'll need some of my Whistler's mother's medicine. One dose and you're off your rocker.
Trigger, can I trust you?
Of course. Have I ever let you down?
I don't trust my Indian companion, Joe Silver. He is a sneaky look.
I happen to know that Joe Silver wants to kidnap Poppy and keep her from marrying little orphan Arnie.
Trigger, we've got to do something. Think of a plan.
Will Trigger think of a plan? While he thinks, a word from our sponsors, the makers of Glum toothpaste. Are your teeth like stars? Do they come out at night? Then use Glum, the toothpaste that guarantees a glum smile. Be true to your teeth, and they'll never be false to you. Now, back to the action. Sam, Poppy, Arnie and Trigger are trying to think of a plan to get rid of Joe Silver.
Boy, have a splitting headache?
Have your eyes been checked lately?
No, they've always been blue. Tim, why did you put Joe Silver in one of your coffins? You took him out of town.
A tisket, a tasket, I'll put him in a casket. I was in love once. I'm aware of what Arnie and Poppy are going through.
You were in love once?
Yes, I was in love with a girl that worked in a glue factory. Yes, her lips were like petals.
Rose petals?
No, bicycle petals. Ah, those lips, those teeth, that eye.
Hey, here comes Joe. Get that coffee ready, Trigger.
Daddy, lie on the bed. That's like you're dead.
Sam lies on the bed and holds his breath. Trigger takes off his shoes and everybody holds his breath. At this breathless moment, back to the action.
So, I finally caught up with you, you old scoundrel. I want to marry your daughter, Poppy, and nobody's gonna stop me. I'm too tough. I've been sent up the river so many times, I get fan mail from the trout. The last time they caught me, I got 10 years in jail and 2 years in the electric chair. Even when I was a baby, they were trying to pin things on me. I'm gonna get you.
Here, Arnie.
Quick, I've got the coffin ready. Rush him, Arnie.
Help! You're pushing me!
Ah, well, that takes care of him. Now I have to run off for a body. It's a fellow that swallowed a bottle of varnish. He had a lovely finish.
How can we ever thank you? You'll have to come to our wedding, of course.
Yes, I plan to give you a tombstone for a wedding present, but don't take it for granted.
Thanks, Trigger. By the way, come over sometime when we have a round of golf.
Don't ever play golf with an undertaker. He always ends up on top at the last hole.
Now that we're alone, my love, someday you'll have my name.
I never did find out what your last name was, Arnie.
My name is...
Tune in tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow for the next enthralling episode of Frontier Mortician, brought to you by the makers of Embalm You. Those involved were Shirley Armitage, Les Batchelor, Pete Livesley, Phillips, Doug Corbett, and Mike Hammersley. Make sure your hair is cleanly groomed with Brill Cream, the perfect hairdressing. With massage, it tones up the scalp, checks dandruff, and puts new life into dry, old hair. For the clean, smart look, men in the public eye definitely prefer Brill Cream. Stand by, Studio A. Cue singers, 15 seconds. It's not just a health issue, it's an insurance. Belting up is not just for car drivers. This is a definite musical cover-up. The stage sensation, button up your overcoat.
You belong to me, baby, you belong to me.
Stand by, Studio A, stand by. Cue Kevin, 20 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, live on stage, we bring you that irrepressible immigrant from Ireland, that radio reprobate, that kaleidoscopic king of comedy from Kilkenny. It's Kevin Cano.
Smiles. Casey went to the doctor. He said, I'm very worried about my wife. She thinks she's a chicken. The doctor said, well, how long has this been going on? And Casey said, about 12 months. And the doctor said, well, why didn't you bring it to me sooner? Casey said, we needed the eggs. I went to the doctor myself the other day, and there's a fellow sitting there, and he's wearing his corset. I said, how long have you been wearing a corset? He said, ever since my wife found it in the car. Got the level. Casey breeds dogs. He crossed a pit bull terrier with a Saint Bernard. This dog attacks you, then it goes for help. He liked it. Murphy's driving this horse float down to Clonakilty to the local races, and he was running late, and he had his foot flat to the floor. When he was caught in one of these radar traps, and he was pulled over. And the police officer said, you were doing 130. He said, what's the story? Murphy said, well, he said, I'm running late for the first race, and the trainer said if I didn't get there on time, I'd lose my job. And with that, the police officer, he goes round to the back of the truck, and he opens the door, and he looks inside, and he said, what are you talking about? He said, there's no horses in here, it's empty. Damn it, said Murphy. They've given me the scratchings again. Pet's talking to Seamus. He said, how the horses treating you lately? Oh, terrible, says Seamus. I can't seem to get a winner. And Pat said, well, I'm doing all right. He said, I'm doing all right. He said, but every day before he said I place a bet, I go to the church and I pray. And the next day, he said, the good Lord, he answers me prayers. Seamus thinks this is a good idea, so he decides to do the same. And a couple of weeks later, he bangs into Pat. And Pat said, well, how did it go? Well, terrible, said Seamus. I couldn't seem to get a winner. That's funny, he says. Well, what church did you go into? And Seamus said, oh, the big Catholic one down the corner. Pat says, that explains it, you idiot. He says, that one's for the dog racing. Two of the boys are on the corner. There's a Jewish boy and a Catholic boy. And the Catholic boy says, our father knows more than your rabbi. The Jewish boy said, I'm not surprised. You tell him everything. Thank you. Talking about confession, we found the line. Pat and Nick decided to go to confession, and Mick goes in first to see the priest. And he says, Father, he said, I've been having a relationship with a young lady, and the priest was aghast. He said, was it Mary Houlihan? No, says Mick. He said, was it Brenda O'Shaughnessy? No, says Mick. Oh, well, he said, was it Maureen O'Hara? No, says Mick. All right, says the priest, will say 50 Hail Marys and don't do it again. Mick goes outside, and Pat says, well, how did it go? Oh, marvellous, says Mick. He said, I got 3 new names. We know the feeling. Maggie Murphy, she went to the church this day, and she's wearing this topless dress, and the priest says, you can't come into the church dressed like that. Yes, I can, said Murphy. She said, I've got a divine right. And the priest says, you've got a divine left too, but you still can't come into the church dressed like that. Murphy, settle down. Murphy, he won £100,000 on the lottery. And he's a commercial traveller down in Limerick City. And he phones his wife. He said, Mary Jane. He said, wonderful news, we've won the lottery. He said, pack your bags. She said, shall I pack them for the summer or the winter? He said, it doesn't matter as long as you're gone when I get back. Ah, dear, oh dear. Murphy, he's in the car this day. And he's driving down the road. When this white blur goes flat out past him. Flat out. So he accelerates to catch it. He sees it's a chicken that's running down the road. And he's fascinated. So he follows the chicken and it goes into the farmer's yard. And he goes up to the farmer's door and he said, excuse me, he said, I just saw a chicken running down the road at 80 miles an hour. Oh, yes, said the farmer, I know. He said, that'd be one of the new breed of chickens. He says, they've got 3 legs. 3 legs, said Murphy. That's fascinating. 3 legs. Well, why have they got 3 legs? Well, says the farmer, he says, I like a drumstick. He says, my mother likes a drumstick. A little Johnny, he likes a drumstick. Oh, that's fascinating, said Murphy. But what do they taste like? Well, damned if I know, says the farmer. We haven't been able to catch one yet. I was in a train the other day with Casey. I was. Over an island, you know. They charge for the animals to sit on the trains. They charge a quarter fare. Anyway, this woman, she brings this poodle dog into the train this day. She places it on the seat. And just then, this American fella comes in and he says, excuse me, he said, I want to sit down. Would you move the dog? And she says, no, she says, the dog, I've paid his fare, it's staying, and that's it. With that, the American fella, he picks the dog up and he throws it out the train window. And the woman, she starts swearing at him and she's belting around the hip. It's all on, it's all on. And Casey's sitting there, he said, I can't understand these Americans. He said, I really can't, he said. He says, they eat their meat in their fork in their right hand. He says, they drive on the wrong side of the road. Just now that fella threw the wrong bitch out the window. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice. Thank you. Before I go, I'd like to sing you a little song. I hope you like it. Danny Boy.
Kevin Knowles. Radio station STJOS, the time is 9:50. Our radio link is now established with our radio reporter, and we present our featured interview with the world's glamorous star of the silent movies. Over now to our radio roving reporter.
This is your roving reporter speaking to you from the home of America's sweetheart of the silent screen, Selma Gaines. Back in the roaring 20s, Miss Gaines was the most beloved star Hollywood had ever known. The beautiful, luscious Selma Gaines. Now, a quarter of a century later, Selma is still beautiful, the lovely temptress that her fans remember so well. She is living in this small apartment in New York City, far from the cheers of Hollywood. Selma, let me ask you this question. Selma, let me ask you this. Selma! Let me ask you this question. You were so popular in the silent movies. Why didn't you ever become a success in the talkies?
Well, honey, I really don't know.
You don't know.
Well, I made a few talkies, honey, but they laughed at me.
Why was that?
Well, I suspect it was those terrible dresses they made me wear.
Well, you're still lovely, Selma. What are you doing now?
Well, I do a few underwear commercials, honey, that sort of thing.
When I'm calling you.
By the way, Selma, what's that beautiful soprano voice that I hear coming from the kitchen?
That's my husband, Bruce. He didn't like it.
Ladies, discover Hidden Treasure Bras by Peter Pan, the only natural answer to a fuller bust line for the smaller figure. For the average or full bust, ask for Merry-Go-Round by Peter Pan. No pads, no puffs, just the contours are built right in with Peter Pan bras. Studio B mic call. Helen and Kevin, please. Studio A, stand by. Cue Buddy Holly Rock Singers. Buddy Holly Rock Singers, 15 seconds. Quiet, please. Buddy Holly created a furore in the rock music world of the late 50s. Our radio rock singers now pay tribute to Buddy Holly and the Crickets.
Love you.
You're listening to the music of Buddy Holly and the Crickets in the studio presentation. Radio SDJOS, the time is 10 o'clock. From our radio newsroom, we bring you highlights and comments of today's news.
And first, a notice from our community notice board. The Christchurch Amalgamated Society of Not Very Keen Husbands and Less Than Enthusiastic Wives will hold their annual get-together next Saturday night.
One of Christchurch's top builders asked his son Timothy what he would like for a birthday present. Timothy was nearly 5 years old, and his birthday just a few days away. "I'd like a baby brother," he told his father. "I'm sorry," said his father, "but there just isn't time to give you a baby brother for your 5th birthday." "But Daddy," protested the little boy, "couldn't you do what you do at work and put more men on at the job?"
And Mr. and Mrs. Angus McTavish of the Outer Hebrides Islands have been trying for 6 years to have a son. Recently, Mrs. McTavish brought forth a son at last, and Mr. McTavish took the boat to the mainland to put a notice in the paper announcing the happy event. On his return, he told his wife that the advertisement had cost £1,600. "How was that?" she asked. "Well," he replied, "I told the girl at the desk that I wanted to put in a notice about my son's birth. 'How many insertions?' she asked. So I told her 4 times a week for 6 years.
And it has just been announced that after long and protracted negotiations, New Zealand Rail has now purchased the Barbados Street Cemetery. They want to have somewhere to put their sleepers.
And 3 men, an Australian, an American, and an Irishman, were standing on the roof of a New York skyscraper this week, looking down on the street below. The American commented on an updraft of wind coming up from the street and said that, in his opinion, a person could float on it. In spite of the protestations of his companions, the American jumped over the edge of the parapet, floated down for about 3 floors, and then floated back onto the roof. "I must try that," said the excited Irishman. He leapt over the parapet and dropped like a stone, go splat on the pavement far below. Back on the roof, the Australian turned to the American and said, "You know, sometimes you can be a real bastard, Superman."
And finally, from the newsroom, a nervous Australian father-to-be was banned by his wife from attending Melbourne's Women's Hospital. So he rang the maternity ward as prearranged. He was told, "You're the proud father of a son, but it's not over yet. Ring back in 20 minutes. Agitatedly, he rang again in 20 minutes. "You're the proud father of twins," he heard, "but it's not all over yet. Ring back in 20 minutes. Beside himself, the young father rang again as directed. "You're the proud father of triplets, but it's not all over yet. Ring back in 20 minutes. By this time, he was a complete nervous wreck. And when he dialed the 4th time, he mistakenly dialed the Melbourne cricket ground. "What's the score now?" he croaked. "Ah, they're all out and the last 2 were ducks."
And that concludes the late evening news. We return you now to the main studio.
This week we're spinning Nat Cole's When I Fall in Love on Capitol Records as #1 on the charts of our radio station's hit parade. Tonight, Helen Powell and Kevin Knowles pay tribute to the Nat Cole hit When I Fall in Love.
When I fall in love, it will be forever, or I'll never fall in love kisses seem to cool in the warmth of the sun.
When I give my heart, it will be completely, for I'll never give my heart. And the moment I can feel that you feel that way too is when I fall in love with you. When I fall in love, it will be forever, or I'll never fall in love. In a restless world like this is, love is ended before it's begun, and too many moonlight kisses seem to cool in the warmth of the sun. When I give my heart, it will be completely, for I'll never give my heart. And the moment I can feel that you feel that way too is when I fall in love. When I fall in love with you.
The blended voices of Helen Powell and Kevin Knowles. Stetson hats return to New Zealand. Stetson hats are distinctive with an added flair that proclaims the man. Stetson hats turn ladies' eyes your way. Ask your superior menswear store for Stetson. Remember, more people throughout the world wear Stetson hats than any other brand. Stetson. Studio B might call Helen and Kevin. Buddy Holly's singers, stand by. 15 seconds, please. Buddy Holly created a furore in the rock music world of the late 50s. Okay, let's try again. Studio A, song Foolery, 15 seconds, stand by please. Our Radio Times finale features the toe-tapping fun tunes astutely melded and welded together with a skillful musical mosaic. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this potpourri entitled Song Foolery.
This is a medley called Song Foolery. The songs are happy.
Crazy. I think they're ridiculous. I don't. I think they're cute, like this one.
Baby, bye, bye, bo, bo, bum. I smell smoke in the auditorium. Charlie Brown, even down. That Charlie Brown, he's gonna get caught. Got to wait and see.
Why is everybody always picking on me?
Okay, no more thinking. Anyhow, we have a serious question to ask.
What?
Does God still in his favor on red post overnight? If you live in the morning, will it be too hot to bite?
Thinking about that one. I got a lovely bunch of roll-a-roll-a-roll-a penny a fish. They are standing in the roll-a-roll-a-roll, singing roll-a-roll-a-roll-a penny a fish.
Rolling, 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 rolling.
Okay, enough is enough.
Hello, Father. Hello, Father. Here I am, comfort out, campus staring, entertaining. And they say we'll have some fun if it stops raining. I went hiking with Joe Spidey. He developed poison ivy. You remember Leonard Skinner? He got toothache poisoning last night after dinner.
Oh, take me home. Oh, mother, mother, take me home.
I hate banana, don't leave me out in the forest where I might get eaten by a bear.
Take me home. I promise I will not make noise.
I'll miss the house with other boys. Oh, please don't let me stay. I've been here one whole day. Wait a minute. He stopped hailing. Guys are swimming. Guys are sailing. Playing baseball. See that better. Mother, father, Harry disregard this letter.
It was that itsy-bitsy teeny pretty yellow polka dot bikini that she wore for the first time today. That itsy-bitsy teeny pretty yellow polka dot bikini, so in the water she wanted to stay.
Mares eat oats, and dogs eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy.
Daisy knows the dozy knows the little lamb, the ivy, against the ivy too. Would it do? Yes. Daisy knows the dozy knows the little lamb, the ivy, against the ivy too. Would it do?
Oh, chicory-chick, chilla-chilla, chicken-a-pong, the banana, wanna, can't you see? Chicory-chick is me. Chicory-chick, chilla-chilla, chicken-a-pong, the banana, wanna, can't you see? Chicory-chick is me.
song about some pretty weird things. I've got one that'll top that. I was working one night in the lab by lake when the came an eerie sight. My monster on the slab began to rise, and suddenly, before my eyes, he did the mash. He did the monster mash. He did the mash. It was a graveyard smash. He did the mash. It took off in a flash. He did the mash. He did the monster mash. Color, he opened the lid and shook his fist. He opened the lid and shook his fist and said, whatever happened to my Transylvania twist? He did the mash. It's now the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. He did the mash. He did the monster mash. He did the mash. He did the monster mash. He did the mash. And when you get to my door, tell them that the Wolfman sent you.
That was the second of two programs recorded live in the studios of Radio STJOS of the commercial division of the New Zealand Broadcasting Service. Now that concludes our advertised program for this evening. We are now closing down transmission until 6 tomorrow morning. To all our listeners, we wish you a very special good night.
Good night, sweetheart, everybody sings. You'll hear it everywhere you go. We think that it is wrong, and so we made a song that says good night to everyone we know. Good